All right. We are back. We are back again. We are back after power outages, so I'm not going to run through the whole thing that we did before, but I think people might be wondering where we went. So that, we did. I lost power, and I'll take that as a sign. There was a request made from that previous video to make some edits, so we just pulled that one down, and we'll take some of those clips and pull it in. But we're going to pick up where we left off, and just treat this as the full episode. So, welcome to the HEF podcast. It's the podcast of the Home Education Foundation, which is an organization started by the amazing Brenda Dickinson, with her husband, Craig Dickinson, just after securing home education freedoms in 1985. And we're really appreciative of all of that work, and to continue the legacy, keeping her name and the work that she did alive, especially in, carving out the parental freedoms to take your child and teach them your ways. The world, you are the parent, the children are yours, and the world is your classroom. So without anything further, we're just going to hop back into the discussion we had started with and welcome our guests back. So I got to stop my music. I forgot. Oh, yeah, there we go. And I will introduce our guest anew. We have Brenda with us. Brenda is in the middle frame, and I'm on the right. You should be seeing it on the right on your screens. And then we also have a homeschool parent with us out of the Pensacola area. She has launched her children effectively. And I will make sure I do this part correctly this time. So Beth Potter joins us today. She's a stay-at-home mom. She's homeschooled her children all the way through. She's a co-founder of a science program that uses scuba certification to teach STEM and conservation to homeschooled middle and high schoolers. It's started off as conventional homeschool and then started to shift toward interest-based learning in middle school. And by the time they were in high school, it was completely interest-led. It's a unique situation because her husband works in an oil field, and so he is there and gone. And it's a very, I'll let you tell your story more than that. I'll just give the intro. She has 2 daughters, which is going to be very vague on this, because this was the part that got me in trouble. They were like, oh, you can't share some of that information. So I won't. She has 2 daughters. They've done extremely well. They have completely launched. This entire situation and interview kind of came about because I saw her post on Facebook where she was talking about how she had to comb through all of the challenges with the recruitment in joining the Navy from being a homeschool parent. And there, she spelled out very clearly in that graphic that you prepared what the required documentation was. And it was so helpful. We're going to share that on our Discord. But back to not just leave it at that, one of her students she's not a child anymore. I have a hard time using that word. One of her students,
my child,
yes, was so in love with language that she learned so many languages. I only speak English sometimes. I think I could be accused of speaking English. But I speak enough Spanish to survive if I need to find the bathroom. Right now, I can speak more Spanish than that, but it's not super fluent. How many languages did one of your daughters learn?
I'm not even sure the full number, but I know that she does Japanese fluently. She could make her way through Spanish, a little bit of German, a few other things. She's been dabbling in Farsi and Mandarin because she's pretty sure that that'll probably be one of the ones that the military makes her learn, since she's going to be a CTI or linguist in the Navy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think a lot of people think that homeschoolers don't have options. They don't have, social skills, and that they're somehow held back. We've got this whole situation in Connecticut propping up because of one example of something bad that happened. And I don't ever mean to make light of bad things when they happen, but it's one thing for that to happen and to find a way to adjust. It's another thing to throw the baby out with the bathwater and just obliterate the entire option. And who, if not the parent, is the one to be inherently trusted with their own children. That is just wild to me. And we saw this article pop up. Let me see if I can find it. I've shifted everything around, and I think I may have closed the tab that had it open. No, here it is. Here it is. It's interesting because I saw this article just before seeing your post, and I thought we have to have you on and talk about this. But the article was, it's called "The World Was My Classroom." Florida made it official, and it's funny because our tagline and motto is "Our classroom is the world," and so we encourage parents to take their freedoms and go teach your own children. That you don't necessarily even need a system. And I can't wait for you to revisit that part of the conversation where you built your own. And I was literally just about to ask you, and what were your credentials that made you think you could take that on? And the power went off. I was like, so let's dive back in. Let's dive back. I'm gonna give a quick recap of this article that kind of prompted this. It's a 17-year-old student. And her name is Harper White, and she shares her experience. She just finished 11th grade. She was born in West Palm Beach and grew up in Saudi Arabia, on an Aramco oil compound in Duran. I'm going to butcher all of these things because I shouldn't be reading this out loud. But she talks about how she went and had experience in a French international school, and then a Florida public school, and then the best experience that she ended up having was with her homeschooling opportunities, and that the Florida's Opportunity Scholarship enabled her family to afford the tuition, the books, and the activities that she was interested in that helped her kind of get there. And we had talked, and your children didn't participate in a scholarship program, but that's not really the point of our conversation. This has just got my wheels turning, and then I saw your graphic, and then I thought, man, your children have launched, and they've launched into some pretty impressive tracks. And I just wanted to speak with you and talk to you about, what your experience is, and what a couple of key questions. I didn't ask these on the last round, so I'll ask them this time to be, a better interviewer, because I wrote them down here. But what home education means to you, and why do you do it? Talk about your origin story. You did a great job last time. What it looked like for you, what the impact it's had for you, and kind of what you've learned about the process working with the Navy recruiter. And we can get to all that other stuff at the end, but I want to revisit the conversation that we've had to delete because we lost power. And what's your origin story? Let's dive back in there.
From the start or from where we left off?
We're gonna have to trash that old video. It'll never see the light of day. So help me out. Let's just treat it like it's brand new.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So we moved to Louisiana right about the time that my oldest was getting ready to go into school. Louisiana has some of the worst education statistics in the whole country, and so that wasn't going to happen. And when I started looking into the private schools at the time, we just were not in a position to financially fudge it. And I, went into the parking lot and called my husband crying because I never thought that I would have to be the one to educate. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I have to. So we jumped in with both feet. We did a Becca at the beginning, and, it was very overwhelming. And as time went on, and, you get your feet underneath you, you start like going, okay, we don't need that. We don't need that. And started pulling back.
Yes.
By the time we got into middle school, I was seeing where my kids were interested in things and were much more inclined to listen and to dive into those things than the things that I was forcing on them. For example, I remember clear as day doing a whole thing on the circulatory system. I went all in. I got straws, I got glitter, I got red food dye, I got a pump. We did the whole 9 yards. And, the next day somebody asked them, what have you been learning in school? They're like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I give up.
Yeah.
I give
Been
up.
there.
But my youngest daughter, let me tell you, homegirl could give you every piece of information on a lizard because she loved lizards. And then my older daughter, who loved the ocean, we would go to the aquarium and she would stand there and point out everything and information about them. So at that point, I was like, all right, if they don't care, I am just checking off boxes. So we started pulling back and doing a lot more interest led. And then just as my oldest was coming into high school, we lost our home to a hurricane. We wound up in Florida. And there was a girl there that we had met who had been homeschooled in Louisiana that was a dive instructor in Destin. So when we figured out that we were going to be stuck in Florida, that we got to be stuck in Florida, let me reiterate that, because I was very happy to live on the white sandy beaches of the Emerald Coast. Don't get me wrong. Once we figured out that we were going to be here, I went to Julia and I was like, hey, I think that we could make something out of this. And within a week of putting something out on all of the Facebook groups, we had over 100 families crammed into this little teeny room above a dive shop in Destin that had interest. And over the time that my daughter was there as a TA, so that was 2 winters, because they only ran the class through the winter. We ran 3 classes a winter. She got 60 kids through that got fully certified up to their advanced certification.
Wow.
And she got her during the time she was in high school. She became a professional dive master and she got all of her tech diving certifications. So that's the trimix, that's diving with helium and diving below, 140 feet and all of that stuff. So that was her. And then she ended up joining the Navy doing big brain stuff. And I had to walk through, the enlistment process with her as a homeschooler, which is different. When you're a public schooler, you hand them, your transcript and your diploma, and they're like, cool, you're Gucci. Let's get you there. Let's take your blood. Let's send you off to boot camp. With homeschoolers, they have a whole education professional that's a contractor at the nearest MEP station that combs through your stuff and makes sure that you're compliant and all of the things. And it's a lot more. And then my younger daughter, I was telling Brenda during our break that she hated school. She hated math. She tears. And I came to a place where I was really trying to push the math with her and she just could not. And I finally sat down with her and I was like, baby girl, she was like a 7th grade, 8th grade. I said, baby girl, I'm not going to touch math again with you until you want it, because I have watched you teach yourself an entire language when you cared. I have watched you deep dive into all of your lizard stuff. She loves reptiles because you cared. I've watched you, do all of the history of Japan because you cared. When you care, you will get this. So when she decided that she wanted to join the Navy, I told her, well, guess what? You have to go through the ASVAB to get there, and that's really math heavy. And so guess what? Suddenly she cared. And when she cared, I got her the Learn Math Fast system, and she went from 0 to Algebra 2 in 6 months. And she passed her ASVAB with a 72. And then she went on to do the D-Lab, which is the Defense Language Aptitude Battery that you have to go through if you want to be a linguist. And she passed that with flying colors to the point where they were like, you can do any language you want. So when your kid cares, they push. And
now, I want to interject a little bit because I think some of the pushback that we get from, those who are in other systems, they're like, okay, well, not every parent can do this, and not every kid can be a homeschooled kid. And I really hope this doesn't come across as a dig at you, but you've shared some pushback about your children. My children have done similar things. And I'm sure everybody has experienced those moments where their kids just throw their hands up on something and they don't want to be pushed into it and they lock in. They're no different than any other kid. And I don't mean that they're not special, or you know what I'm saying? Like, but like, our kids are kids. And they have to be led and they have to be taught, but also they're kind of like, I heard somebody say one time, they're like parachutes. It's like you can pack them and pack them, but as long as they open at the right time, everything is good. And I'm like, okay, maybe not. But it's interesting because I think a lot of people think their kids, or some kids, maybe not their kids, but like they'll think some kids just can't do that. Some kids wouldn't thrive in an environment like that, and some parents aren't capable. And I'm thinking to myself, you've done a lot, and did you have a degree in a certification and all of the things that you started all of these programs for?
No,
And
sir.
she's doing
I
it by
actually,
herself.
Doing it by yourself. Your
yeah.
your child refused to do math, and you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna do interest-led math. So you go down the non-math route and let her pursue the things she's interested in, and then later she changes her mind. Did that put her behind?
No.
Right. And that's the thing, is it's like, I think we've got this everything must go up in August kind of like mentality where it's like, oh, I have to teach all the things, and by this date they have to do that, and they have to go up in August. And I'm like, no, they have to go up when they're ready. They have to go up when they lock in and they want to go down that path. And once they're there and motivated, they're capable, they're ready, they can. Even if, like in your case, you just kind of pushed it off. Did you do a lot of math even after
Before that or after that?
after she said, no, and you were like, you're not, I'm not going to cram math
Well,
down your throat.
it took us years to get to the point, like years and years. When I say we drilled math facts, and she was still writing her, no matter how much we drilled it, her brain just flipped it. Like her brain just wasn't clicking with it. And I had done research on a couple of different things. There was that study done forever and a day ago that we've known forever, where that school kept back one class from learning math. They learned critical thinking skills, but they didn't learn math until 6th grade. And then in 6th grade, they kicked it in gear. And by the end of 6th grade, not only had they caught up to everybody else, but they were doing better in like word problems and whatnot.
Imagine that.
So I had read that and I was like, okay, so this is like studied. This is not me just making this up in my head. And then I started doing a lot about brain development, and that every person's brain develops differently at different times, which again,
Yes.
we know that instinctually because we're human. We grew up, we were lagging behind certain things that our friends were doing, or we were ahead in certain times that our friends were doing.
Yep.
And so we know that. And
Yep.
when that clicked into place at the same time that, I'm sitting there after years and years and years of pushing her about the math, I was like, okay, we're going to try something different, because everything else we've paid for the tutors. I have paid an ungodly amount of money in math curriculum. We've done all of the things.
All of the things.
All of them. It's time to pull back for a minute
Nice.
and just give her a breather, because part of it was the anxiety of the thing, right? Like she was like, oh, and so before we would even start, she would sit down and already be upset about it. So at that point, I was like, you're going to get it eventually, not today.
Yeah. I'm dealing with a parent right now who is in another county, and something similar. Her daughter has anxiety, hates that, pushes off. They'll make her do this in school. She doesn't want to. Severe anxiety to the point where, she's missed a number of days, and the school told her, hey, look, maybe you should homeschool. And then immediately when she started to homeschool, they put her in as exhibiting non-attendance and put her on a truancy track. And like, they're kind of just using the system to cast her off or bully her. And so that's, one of the cases that we're working on currently. But it reminds me of the rigidity with which the system cannot be flexible to customize to the student, to what their needs are. And there is evidence that the brain develops differently at different times. The breakthrough, the aha moments come at different times. The system is too rigid. It cannot accommodate those. We want our kids to learn on the track of the standardized testing. And if they don't, well, then fail them. We got to fail more kids. We got to do this. It's just so rigid, and they go up in August, and August go up. We have a phrase in the gaming world that we use, number go up, number go up. And all the fun of the game is lost. All the adventure and the storytelling, or the different nuances of just having fun playing the game, are lost when you start to realize that the game is built on a system of numbers, and the whole idea is to like min max and number go up. As long as number go up, I win. Number go up, I win. And we do that to our kids. We're min maxing our kids, sending them to these institutions. Here's the standard, and here's that, and min max the standard, and number go up. In August, number go up. And I just lost on the rigidity of this and how we're cramming it down people's throats, but it's just the default norm. Like, you look at other countries that don't have our exact system, and like, they live 80 years, they have families that are intact, they make money and get by, like, they survive in life. Does everybody need to be a nuclear physicist? No. Does everybody need to work in... Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, no. I'm appreciative of you sharing your story with us, because you're normal. You have normal struggles. Everybody has normal struggles, but your kids seem on the end of it because you've launched them. They seem like, oh my word, they're just high achieving, super excelling, and I'm like, that's great. Yeah, the overnight success built after 20 years. Like, yes.
Brenda and I were actually talking about that earlier, and the struggle right now with all of these people pulling their kids in the later years, because, I hate to use the word unschool because it has such a negative connotation, but really that's what I ended up doing. But I've pivoted to interest-led because it doesn't put people off as quickly.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of people pulling, and then they're reading about things like interest-led or unschooling, and they're throwing their 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th grader into that, and they're failing horribly. And they're going, well, that doesn't work. I tried that. That doesn't work. And having to explain that, no, it wouldn't work. Your kids have learned that learning is in this box, and this is how we do it. They also have learned that they hate to learn because of all of these years.
Preach.
And they haven't learned how to be a student in life. And
Amen.
So it's really hard. You've got these people now that are dabbling in it so much later, and they're failing, which of course they would, because their kids don't know how to do. This is not a pat on the back thing, but we've started since they were little. We always like, oh, you don't know, you want to get a lizard? Okay, let's go to the bookstore, and you're going to pull out some books, and you're going to learn about that. You're interested in this thing, let's go learn about it. And so it became a system for them of, oh, I'm interested in the thing, let's go study it.
Let's go learn
instead of school is here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
what's the
it's
difference between school and education?
Yes.
That's why we don't call it schooling in Florida.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Brenda was very, I say we, Brenda was very specific when I keep saying we, when she was penning alongside, Representative Daniel Webster and her husband, Craig Dickinson, who was an attorney, and they were careful about that language because the attachment mentally to school, this concept of school, and it must look like this when you bring it home. That's why it's called homeschool, is erroneous. Throw it out. Absolutely throw it out. Work on looking at your child as if a person you want to spend time with once they're an adult, and then pour into them and train them in ways that help them figure out what they're interested in and want to become. My daughter, when she was younger, wanted to be a kangaroo. She's abandoned that. Now she wants to own her own bakery, and she makes these little crochet things. And I've got to tell you, they have started to learn how to crochet the wildest. I knew how to crochet. My grandmother taught me when I was younger, and I made a blanket. But these kids have gone on to make a 9-tailed fox, that glows in the dark, dumpster fires. They're making these little flowered plants, and they're wanting to donate them to the pregnancy center here to put out and raffle off at their event and help be a part of the community. Like they've taken what was an interest and turned it into something bigger. They're a couple of steps away from turning that into a business if they want to, and there's a livelihood.
But
The
you
world.
forgot to tell that they are avid readers.
Oh, they are voracious readers, 100%. They are, yeah. Even my 6-year-old is reading on a 3rd grade level. Like cracking open reading and critical thinking, like what you said earlier. That's the key. That's the key. Turning them into people who think, go, I have an interest. How did I learn about the interest last time? Oh yeah, we got a book, and then they start to rotate that pattern, and that just becomes life. It's not about school. It's not about yard time and walls and raise my hand to go to the bathroom and walk down the left-hand side of the hall with your quiet finger up. It's just about who you want to become and learning what it takes to get there. You were about to say something. Go.
Oh, I was going to say, and they don't even have to necessarily love the reading. Like I've got one, my older daughter loves to read. Like she could sit and empty a book, and she's one of those readers that when she reads a book, she sees it play out like a movie in her head. The other one, funny enough, the one that is good at languages, dyslexic as all get out, she does not love reading. She will read for information. Like she's got a whole room full of information books. The other kid has a whole room full of fiction books that she loves. So it's, as long as they know how to extrapolate what they need from, things, then that's what you want. So if your kid's not reading, doesn't enjoy reading, don't freak out.
So it's
I
funny
had
that
a
you say
teacher that did an interview with my kids when we first had the teacher evaluations in the statute. We did all of them just to see how they worked out. And she said there are 2 types of readers, and you've just described the 2 types of readers. And I have the same in my house. One reads for information, one reads for pleasure. So there's no one is better than the other.
Yeah, you've stumbled on a particular thing that's of interest to me, because I hate reading all. Oh, wait. Parents, if their kids are listening, cover their ears. I hate reading. I absolutely loathe reading. I was punished as a kid with reading. If I did something wrong, I was sent to my room and made to read something. And I was public schooled, all the way up to like 7th, 8th grade almost. And then we did home education after that in Alabama. But I to this day, I cannot enjoy reading. I just absolutely have a distaste for it. But if I need to read the statute, it makes me not want to waste any more time reading. Right? I'm going to glean and I'm going to go, but I'll read at 6.
Good at it. He's very good at it.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. I'll read it voraciously and intently and with scrutiny and critical thinking. I loved critical thinking and logic. I just hated reading. And so I do it. I do a lot of it, but none of it for fun. And I have kept my mouth shut with my kids because I did not want to destroy their love of reading at all. Because it's not just about enjoying the activity, but if you can get them, like you said with your daughter, once she saw the value of math, it was a door that something that she wanted was locked on the other side of. She conquered it. And if you can, at whatever point that is, get your child to see that the door to the world they want to access is locked away on the other side of this thing, boy, it flips a switch.
Let me say something about what you said, and I think you're absolutely right. If they haven't grown up in a learning environment, to bring school home totally leaves them, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And it may take time. And the good thing is that parents can keep their children in home education until they're 19 or 20. So they have to deprogram from school to be able to move into learning. First thing I would do is limit the screen times and I hate to say this, Jason, but
No, go ahead.
Yes,
go ahead.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Because
The video gaming.
That's what they will be doing for all their time because that's
Yep.
what they did when they were home.
Yeah.
So it was
Right.
not learning at home, it was relaxation or gaming time. So
Yep.
parents have to take a firm stand, but
Yep.
but if you can take them to museums, you can take them to, see things that they don't normally do in field trips. Somewhere along that first year line, they're going to engage in something that they're interested in. Once you have their interest, then they can pursue learning. So I tell people it takes 3 years for a parent to really home educate. And you described it in our conversation that Jason wasn't privy to. The first year you brought school home. Some people sit them at a little desk from 8 to 3 and they have to do their little workbooks and blah, blah, blah. The second year you go, oh, I don't need that one. Oh, I don't need this one. Oh, I don't need this one. And lo and behold, the third year you've moved into real home education. And that is, and I believe you had described it perfectly, following the interest of the child.
Yeah.
And all you need is for them to learn basic math, because if you build a foundation on concrete, then you move into mental, and then you move into written math, which the school has it totally backwards. If you move into it with games and things that teach them object lessons and them to see math in action, you've given them the basics. And when they need it, and I've seen this year after year after year, those children will do what's necessary to have the math under their belt they need for the next level. And it doesn't look like school. It doesn't, but it works.
Yeah. And you spoke about something interesting as well early on about, learning what can be tossed out. And Brenda was just talking about that. And it's really more about, there's a world. The world is your classroom. You are never, ever going to learn all the facts. You're just not. You're not going to consume them all and learn them all and be the know-it-all. There's no one. And so the question then is like, well, if you're not going to do that because you can't, how much do you need? Great question. You need learn all the things that are locking away the things that you want to access in life. That's what you need. You need those things because they open the doors.
I have said many times to anybody that's a new homeschool parent, kind of getting started, and they're like, what's the curriculum? What should I do? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I have said to them, look, you're going to go to curriculum because it's safe and it's comfy for you. Like it's what we all do when we start. You just need to remember that curriculum is a tool and not a master.
Boom.
You are using it as a tool. And until you can get that one, you are going to be stressed. Your children are going to hate it. You're going to hate it. Everyone's going to hate everything about everything. And you're going to have a miserable experience because you're back at school, which you didn't like either, quite frankly. And nobody wants to sit there and do that again. You need to remember that you are in charge of this thing. And if you don't think they need it, get rid of it. And if you think it's a gorgeous day outside and I want my kids to be outside, well, guess what? They want to be outside too. They're not going to listen to anything that you're saying to them because they're sitting there going, oh, and daydreaming about playing outside and jumping on the trampoline and being at the beach.
Yes.
Go do the thing. Come back and read the book over dinner that night, or talk that night over dinner about what did you see at the beach today? Tell me about the seashells. Tell me about the, you have to be willing to do that because the stuff in the book, it's not going to do you any good, because just like when you were in school, you file it away for the test and then you get rid of it.
And I
kindred spirits.
Yeah, I want to say this with genuine respect, not as a dig. You're normal. You strike me as a person who's very normal with normal problems, just like everybody else. And I think because it's easy to dismiss people like the girl who's writing that article. She's in 11th grade. She's 17. She's articulate, and she's can Well, who can afford to give their kid experiences like that? Only rich people can homeschool, or only these people can homeschool. And sure, you could do it.
Homeschoolers are broke as a joke, man.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. But this misconception exists over that, and I just want to highlight that just to dismantle the misconception, because you're a normal person with normal people problems, and everyone can benefit from being the parent to their own kid, customizing the learning environment and the education, study your kid, figure out, open them up, figure them out. Don't treat them like a handbag that you've got to keep for a number of years before you trade it out for a different lifestyle accoutrement. Like they're more than that. Oh, study them and understand them and pour into them. There's a misunderstanding, and you hit it perfectly on the head with the curriculum that you were talking about. It's a tool. And I think it's easy to look at it and go, that a curriculum is a tool. It's not a right. You don't have a right to any particular curriculum. And we don't have a right to public school education. It's not a right. There's a misunderstanding. It's a fundamental flaw that has just invaded every mind, and we just take it as default that education's a right. It's not. Public school's not a right of every citizen. It's a tool. It's a tool. The parent has the duty to educate their child, and public school is there as a tool. If it's working for you, I'm glad for you. But there are many who it's not. And we maintain our authority as the parent to make the choice that's right for our child and choose a private option, or I want to do it myself and pick my curriculum, or I want to do it myself and throw the curriculum out and find a path that works for my kid, because everybody's got ideas about how they have to raise their kid, but no one has to live with them but you. And this goes back to the first part of that conversation that we had that didn't make it into this video, where the dad was sitting there lamenting the fact that, his kid is home for the summer. And he's like, it's only been a week and I can't wait for them to go back. I'm like, that's your fault. You're the parent. They're your kid. You raise them. You teach them. If the public school's not doing it and you're relying on them, do it different. If you're trying to cram a curriculum down their throat and they're turning into that weird ball of mess that you can't get along with and nobody's winning, do it different. Like whatever does work for you, do it, but get it to work. That is your job as the parent. That's your duty as the parent. Education's not a right. It's a duty. And we have to change the narrative in our state on this. It's critical, because until we do, we'll keep complaining about the weirdest things and not solving the actual problem, which is parents. Raise your kids. They're yours. You can do it. You can do it. You're normal. Everybody has problems. Every day's a struggle in the Crawford house. I don't know what everybody else's house is like, but man. And Brenda, what was it we were talking about on a recent episode? We were talking about books, and when you read the book, the character's going through an adventure. But if you were the first person, you were that character, it wouldn't be an adventure. It would be a struggle, right?
Right.
It's like, from that perspective, you wouldn't see it and love it. You only love it because you're the one reading it. But the goal of every parent is to keep the adventure, keep the curiosity alive, so that the struggle stays an adventure. And if you can flip that, if you can recapture being the parent, understand it's your duty to drive their curiosity and pour into them at the moments where their minds are open. Every parent can do this. Every parent can do this.
It's just being attentive.
Yeah, true. Every child has a bent. Both of her daughters are so different.
Yes.
The bent for one is science and scuba diving. The other one is the linguist. I could never be a linguist. I don't hear the nuances in the language. I couldn't do it. I'm a visual learner, and you can't change that. That's my bent. And so you can make me do some other things, but I feel like it's a perfect waste of time for me to read fiction. It's just ingrained in me. And my daughter, on the other hand, can take a very thick book and read it in about 5 hours. And I
My
go,
wife can
how
do
in the
that.
world do you do that? She said, I
I'm
just
jealous,
read
right?
Yeah.
the middle of the page. I don't need all the details on the exterior. And to me, that's like cheating. I can't do that. Read every word because I read for
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
So you can't make me be different than I am. That's just the way it is. So
Yeah, powerfully stated. And Beth, thank you for being with us. Thank you for being patient with the power outages and the universe trying to stop us from getting this out.
I love her story, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see her graph. What is it? A chart?
Sure. Yeah,
that
it's a
shows
graphic.
how to get into the Navy from home education. And it's done. It's been done. We can carve those paths out for any career that a child is interested in. It's going to take
Yep.
some work, but we can do it.
Yep, 100%. There is no limitations that you have if you homeschool your kids. If you're worried, like, well, what will their career life be like? That whatever else it was going to be like for anybody else. It's all based off what we can produce and skills and things we can learn. And life is full of learning. You never stop. So,
And what are they interested in? That's
Yeah.
where you need to go with that education.
And let me take a second to just
Yes.
be a recruiter for the United States military.
Oh boy.
I would highly suggest, regardless of whether your kid actually has an interest or not, go talk to a recruiter of any branch. Have your kid take the ASVAB. Just because it is going to give you a wealth of knowledge about your child and what they are geared for. Are they geared for word knowledge, for paragraph comprehension, for mechanics, for mathematics, for language? It gives you a very good picture. You know, the United States military has been doing this for a long time, and they want to put people in where they best fit. And that particular test is very, very, very good at doing that thing. And I like, if your kid is going, I don't know what I want to do with myself, I have no idea, and you're having a hard time figuring out what they're good at or where they would, you know, where they might really struggle or where they're, you know, where they're geared towards, it's a fantastic tool. And you can even call a recruiter and say, hey, I want to take the PICAT, which is the ASVAB at home. Essentially, you can take the ASVAB at home. And if you decide you want to join the military, they just have you go back in and you take a truncated, they give you like 30 questions that you took before, and then you're able to confirm your score.
Interesting.
But it's a really good tool if you're looking at your 17-year-old going, I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with you, you know?
Is there
Interesting.
age limit on that? Younger, older? You have to be in
I think you need to be like 17, I think. Yeah, 16 or 17. But yeah, there, if you do that, especially if your kid is talking about spending a bunch of money on a career path or something that you're going, I don't know, baby, that might not be for you. You know, the ASVAB's free.
Yeah. 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 That is very cool. And thank you for sharing that. We do appreciate all of our armed forces and the work that they do. So absolutely no problem with you plugging that and talking about that. Thank you for that. And so Beth, thank you for being on with us today. And thank you for staying patiently through your fantastic things that you've shared with us. And we're so grateful to have been able to connect with you so quickly and pull it all together. Brenda, thank you for being with us today as well. And I always do this, and I'll continue to do it. I give you final word of the podcast. So is there anything that you would like to say as we call today's podcast to a close?
Well, I'm going to say again, support is essential because Jason has a family of 5 children, a wife, and he is doing this on faith that we're going to be able to support him to represent all of our interests in the Capitol. And as you know, it takes work. It's not something that magically happens overnight, and it is a year-round job. Jason now is looking toward the next session, and they haven't even finished the last session or just finished it. I've been out of touch, so I'm not sure where we are, but it's a never ending process, and there are always issues with the district that he's going to deal with this summer, so we can do it as a whole. And I suggested to Beth that she get with him because some of the districts are doing things that are not in their purview, and it's causing problems. So again, we're going to educate them about what their duties are and what they shouldn't be doing. And Jason is doing that during the summer with the Department of Education. So your rights are protected by the Home Education Foundation here in Florida. They're given to you by God, but the rights that we have in statutes are what we protect so that you have the freedom to customize education for your children. And so I urge you, I beg you, if you were to give $1 for each child you're home educating per year, we would have $155,000 to operate. And everything Jason uses as tools is expensive. And so the expenses come out first and then he gets paid. So consider if it's $5 a month for a child or two children or whatever, it's a cup of coffee, really. Anybody can afford that small donation, and it makes a huge difference. So that's my final word.
Thank you, Brenda. And thank you to the parents who do support us. We're very appreciative of the support that you do send to us. Brenda, we do not have $155,000 a year, so we're not there yet.
Years. Once the expense came out, there was no money left over to pay me for a year's worth of work. So I'm very sensitive to that.
But we do have parents who do support us, and we're very thankful for the parents who support the work that we do. We're also thankful to our sponsors, our top sponsors, Arete, FPEA, Fisher Precious Metals, and TBHC Group. If you are a parent, a home education family, or a home education parent, or once home educated and just love the freedoms and want to show support, we do have opportunities for businesses to get their tax write-offs by donating into our nonprofit arm, where we do a lot of the advocacy work or communication tools that we develop, like our Discord server. In our Discord server, flhef.org/Discord, we have a channel for every county. And we have parents in some of these channels who are keeping tabs on the school board and posting what the school board is doing and helping all the rest of the parents in that county channel know what's going on so they can keep up with it. We have parents come in and ask questions. Hey, I'm being told this. How do I handle it? And we help answer those. The information in there, one of our rules is that it's required, if you're answering a question, to have sources cited and links provided, so that these are not just rumors or information or opinions, but these are trustworthy answers and you can go see for yourself. So if you enjoy any of those tools or you're making use of them, by all means, a little bit of support would help. It does go a long way. Thank you so much for being with us today through all the technical difficulties. You guys are amazing. For those I still see you watching, truly, truly amazing. And thank you for being with us. We will go ahead and call today's podcast to a close. Thank you, guys.